everybody. I'm Margaret Torn. I'm with the AmeriFlux Management Project, and we're really glad to see you here. A few of you I think, are already familiar with AmeriFlux sites. There's a few really new faces for us. What I thought we would do today is just everyone can introduce themselves. Then I'll just give you a brief introduction to AmeriFlux and the AmeriFlux Management Project. And then we have three people who are site leads. They'll talk for 1-2 minutes just to give you like an anecdote about having a site and the support that you can get from the AmeriFlux Management Project, or AMP. And then you'll hear in just a little bit more detail about the support we can give for technical measurement quality for data and what's happening in outreach and community activities. We hope that the majority of the time is your questions and us answering them. That's our intention. So with that, and we really do have plenty of time to hear from you. So I wondered if we could just go around. We'll all introduce ourselves. And if you already know there's something you'd like to hear about today, go ahead and mention it. We'll get back to it later, but it'd be just nice to hear what's on your mind. And we're really glad to get to meet you and talk with you. So I think I already introduced myself. And I'm going to start with the AMP people who are here. So Sebastian.
Good morning all, and good afternoon maybe to some of you. I'm Sebastian Biro, that's Margaret Deputy for the AmeriFlux Management Program, and I'm also the lead for the AmeriFlux Tech team.
UA.
Hello, my name is Yue Chia. If you registered the site, you probably got an email from me at some point. I work with the data team, and I'm currently the deputy of the data team. And yeah, I'll pass that over to Christine.
Good morning from California. I'm Christine Büchner, and I'm the project manager on the team, just doing various things. If you have questions, reach out. And I see Sigrid on the call.
And I'll just say before we start, a few new people joined. Maybe you waited till the end of the last World Cup game. So we're just going around and introducing ourselves, starting with the AmeriFlux Management Project folks, and then we'll go to the site teams. Sigrid, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm working with the AmeriFlux Tech team, but currently also with the data team, helping sites to upload the data to a database, update and complete the variable information table, which makes the data even more useful to users, so they know where the measurements were done, what heights, what instruments were used, and also general questions to helping update people's websites, site websites. Excuse me. And I'm handing over to Kung.
Morning, everyone. My name is Kung, and I'm a senior postdoc. And this year is year of remote sensing, so we are encouraging the research combining ethical variance and remote sensing. And so if you're interested, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Andre?
Hello, I'm Andres Santos, talking from California. I'm working the tech team with Sebastian Biro, is my supervisor. Nice to meet you all.
Great.
I pass to Andrew.
Jumping to me, I guess. Okay. Yeah. I'm not one of the AmeriFlux team members. I'm just a site. So I'm at the University of New Hampshire, but in the next month, moving to the United States Forest Service. Still in New Hampshire. So we have at UNH, we have at least one site we've registered. We should probably register the other three. We have not done yet, and we've been slow to upload data. So I could probably use help getting up to speed in that. When I move to the Forest Service, I will be sort of taking over the Howland, one of the long-term AmeriFlux sites. The core sites will be Dave Hollinger, whose current PI is retiring. this month, and I will be doing my best to take its place in some form. So, thanks.
Want to pick the next victim?
Oh, I should be paying attention here. I see Craig next on my list.
Hi, I'm Craig Whippo. I'm with the USDA Northern Great Plains Research Laboratory in Mandan, North Dakota. I started here in June, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around all this data coming off our two sites. And I'll toss it over to Nick, my colleague.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I work with Craig here at Mandan, North Dakota, with the Agricultural Research Service. And I'm a support scientist here in charge of the data collection for edicovariance measurements. So we have two sites where we have business as usual, spring wheat, corn, soybean rotation, 3-year rotation, and another site with the aspirational treatment involving including cover crop with the same crop rotation. Okay, who's next? Lily. Sorry if I mispronounce it.
Oh, no, you did good. So hi, my name is Li Yixu. I am from Hydro Focus in Davis, California. My company actually focused more on the like wetland restoration and monitoring the before restoration carbon estimate, as well as like trying to calculate how much carbon is being removed when we convert like agricultural land, for example, like pasture, rice, and corn into more the supposedly more natural wetland at the Delta region. So we do flux measurement and carbon monitoring. So I guess I get to pick the next victims. Let me see. Maybe Thompson. Oh, Tyson, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I figured you were talking about me. I'm Tyson McKinney. I'm at the University of Texas in Austin, the Bureau of Economic Geology. I've been there about a year, and I inherited a couple of eddy covariance towers, one of which I've registered. I'm working on getting the data documentation ready so I can start submitting data for that one, and then I'll get the other site registered. I've got historic data from 3 other sites here in Central Texas I'll get going to. And just science-wise, I guess we're mostly at this point interested in measuring evapotranspiration and using that to constrain the water budget out here to really get at a question of recharge to the Edwards Aquifer, which is like a really important aquifer here in Central Texas. So, Michelle.
Hi, my name is Michelle Reba. I'm a research hydrologist with ARS in Northeastern Arkansas. I've had sites with AmeriFlux for a while, but I've just not done a very good job. And so I'm using this meeting as an effort to kind of reinvigorate my my activities. We have about 6 towers really focused on rice and soybean rotation, pairing them, looking at different irrigation practices and how those practices influence water, carbon, methane. We've also started to dabble with nitrous oxide, a field scale nitrous oxide sensor that we're messing with in rice. So nice to see you all. Oh, I get to choose. Let's see. Luna, I like your background picture.
Hi there. Thank you. I like my background picture too. I'm a field technician at UC Santa Cruz, working with my PI, Professor Adina Payton. Currently, we have 3 towers, eddy covariance towers in Elkhorn Slough, one of the wetlands nearby. And we're comparing how different stages of restoration may control carbon cycling as well as other greenhouse gases over time. I'm really out of the loop with the AmeriFlux stuff, so I'm really hoping to just get a cursory overview. And yes, we love the sea otters there too. Yeah, so nice to see you all. I'll pass it over to, and excuse me, I joined a little late, so I might be saying someone who's already gone, but Tom, have you gone yet?
No, I have not.
Great.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tom O'Halloran. I'm faculty at Clemson University in South Carolina. I get to show a slide later, so I won't say too much about research. I'll talk in a minute. Nice to be here. I'll pass it to Roswell, who's in the picture next to mine.
Hi, I'm Roswell Bradshaw. I'm working in Florida, University of Florida, working in collaboration with Maria Silveira in two cow-calf production systems down at ONA, and also a PI for a forest site in Gainesville, Florida. But today I'm here in California in San Mateo, and I will be here until January. So I pass it to Maria Silveira.
Yes, thank you, Roswell. Yeah, Roswell is my right hand. We have two eddy covariance sites, and if it wasn't for Roswell, we wouldn't be part of the AmeriFlux. So yeah, he's more than a collaborator. Yeah, like he said, we have two towers. One is in a cultivated pasture, one is in a native rangeland, and we're looking at impact of management on carbon balance. And I'll pass to, and I'm sorry, I also joined a little late. Christine Buchner, have you gone yet?
I have, and
oh, sorry.
I'm going to just pass it to Lisa Marie.
Thank you.
Sure. Hi. Thanks. I have to say I'm very similar to Michelle in the sense that I have two towers, or actually three towers that are slowly getting uploaded, one of which is regularly uploaded. The other two seem to have sort of stalled. And I saw this as an opportunity to kind of just get started again. And my postdoc is the one who does the installing. So I thought, well, let's find out where we are in this process. And yeah, I wanted to hear eventually more about putting N2O on the tower that Michelle was talking about. Okay, and I pick, is it Elin or Ellen?
It's Ellen.
Ellen, great.
Thank you. Yeah, my name's Ellen Humphreys. I'm a professor in the Department of Geography and Environmental Studies at Carleton University in Canada. I get to show a slide later, but suffice it to say, I work with data from 10 towers, but they aren't all on AmeriFlux. And I'll say more later. And I'll pass it to Sebastian. Did you go already?
I did, but I'm going to pick one of the last two, Nitya.
Hi everyone, my name is Nitya Rajan. I'm a professor in the Department of Soil and Crop Sciences at Texas A&M in College Station. I have one flux tower I registered this year. This is part of a project called DOE Smart Farm. So in this project site, I think Sebastian is familiar with this project. We are doing N2O. So I have a flux tower site with CO2, methane, and N2O. We also got a new climate smart commodity grant. So we are looking, maybe next year we will add maybe 10 more flux towers. So I'm really looking forward to work with the AmeriFlux team. And also I have a ton of questions about the data sharing policy, especially because of the DOE Smart Farm project. So I would like to hear more about that.
Great. Adam, did you go already?
No, not yet. So I'm Adam Schreiner McGraw. I'm a relatively new hire with the USDA ARS, and we have 3 towers in Missouri. It's like what Nick was saying. We're working with the LTAR project, the Long-Term Agroecosystem Research Network, to compare business as usual and aspirational types of croplands. And we also have a native prairie site that we compare both of those to. And I think maybe Catherine is the last one.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Like Adam, I'm also with the ARS Soil Drainage Research Unit, except we are in Columbus, Ohio. I'm also a part of LTAR, and thankfully Adam mentioned this meeting at another meeting on Wednesday, so I found out about it. We currently have 2 towers installed, and we're going to be installing 2 more in the spring. And we do not have any of those on AmeriFlux yet, but we're interested in getting them all up and going pretty soon.
Wow, that was great. Now, one person signed in and left, so I just want to make sure we haven't missed. Have we missed anyone? Okay, and sorry, my bedspread seems to keep showing up, so there's like a giraffe in the background. Sorry. It's just great to have you all here, and you might wonder why we spent, our first, whatever it was, 12 minutes or something on this, and it's because AmeriFlux is a community of people, and so we wanted to know who you are and that you're part of this community. And there are more than 200 PIs or site and many site teams. So there's a lot of resource out there, and we've even seen already 3 people are measuring N2O flux. So there's a lot of learning that people can do from each other, and you can follow up after this discussion with each other, with us at AmeriFlux Management Project, or people have very good luck just sending an email out to the whole community. There's a listserv, the AmeriFlux community, and when you signed up to register your site, you may have signed up for that. You probably did. UA knows. And you can send your questions out. Hey, how do you handle communications when you're in this kind of environment? Or how do you, whatever it is. Or you want collaborators, you're interested in trading notes on N2O. So welcome. And welcome back, or it's nice to see you, Lisa Marie and Michelle and other people who I've seen. So now what we'd like to do is kind of do the more formal part. There's going to be some slides, but even throughout, the idea really is discussion. So to continue this conversation that we have just started, I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, okay. So we already welcomed. That's great. We've already done introductions, and now I'm going to just tell you really briefly what's been happening. We invited to this meeting people who had formed sites in the last 2 years, or a little more than 2 years. And in that time, 115 sites have joined. I guess 2020 to 2022 is now, we can say 3 years. So quite a lot. And of those, very impressive, I think, 52 have actually submitted their data, and it's published and it's available. Published data means there's a base Flux product that's available. And they're from 7 different countries, which we find really exciting. And we definitely want to extend support to people wherever they are in the Americas. And so I think you all know about AmeriFlux, but over the lifetime, our 25-year lifetime, we've had 588 Flux sites have already registered, and we don't have an exact number, but about 400 of those are still operating. And that gives us more than 3,000 site years of data, Flux data that you can download and do science with. And there's a lot of site team members and a really big community. And of course, we're doing it for science. And we heard already about neat applications of science from you all today. If you're new or thinking about joining, we see a lot of benefit, and we always want to know what you want as a benefit. So let us know, but there's the community. With the community comes opportunity for collaboration and visibility for your science. So I know people have concerns about sharing data, but mostly we find that sharing data, even though someone uses it in some other science project, actually enhances your work. People find mistakes, they see new patterns, and they make your project more visible to the whole scientific community and even to your funders. And we help you make high quality measurements, and then help with sharing your data, preserving your data in a repository, and helping you get credit for your data. So I think you met some people in the management project, but just to highlight that there are some teams. We all work together, but there's a whole group that is providing data, QA, QC, and data support. There's the technical QA, QC, and support. There's outreach and coordination, because we do actually have quite a lot of outreach going on, meaning community events and things like that. and then general support. And it says core site support. And that's because one of the other things we do as a project is support contracts to 13 institutions or PIs for support of long-term operations of 44 sites to ensure that there's a long-term data record as part of AmeriFlux. Now, I'm going to turn it over to 3 people who we invited to present today. This is going to be very, very short. So I apologize in a way. Well, welcome, Roswell, Maria, Ellen, and Tom. And we're really glad that you're here, but I will apologize for the short time. But we thought it's just really nice for people to hear for just a snippet of something that you're learning or doing or experience that you'd like to share. So with that, I'm going to go to the next slide. And Maria or Roswell, you choose.
Maria, do you want to go?
No, go ahead, Rosa.
All right. Well, like I said before, I'm Roswell Bracho from the University of Florida. I'm not new to AmeriFlux. In fact, I've worked with you guys before several times. And I've been a collaborator, co-PI with Maria Freira in 2 sites that are kind of new, the US ONA, which is a native rangeland, and US PAS is a pasture site with Bahia grass. Why do we have that in there? So in Florida, a large extension of the land is used for this. They are used as cow calf production systems, and we are interested in looking at what's the carbon sequestration potential of these sites and how management affect their warming potential. And we have these 2 sites. The US ONA has been running for almost 6 years, but it's pretty much new into AmeriFlux. It's been there for 2 years, but the 6 years of data are in there with you guys. The pasture site was set up in early last year in February 2001. And at the beginning, we had this one here on the right side is the native rangeland, and the other one is the pasture site. And we installed the methane analyzer like 2-3 months later on that one. We've been collecting data since then. Great data set. It's already into AmeriFlux. Yeah, the team is down there on the bottom right. And we've been in touch with AmeriFlux since the beginning, getting a lot of help from you guys. So when we got the methane analyzer for the pasture side, we got a loaner from you under the year of methane program, and we collect 1 year of data with that. So we have data from the 2 sides until we were able to get that data. Work a lot with the tech team. We got another loaner when the Irgason, the CO2 water vapor analyzer sonic, the integrated one on the right side, got the damage after a few years. And it was so quick. In like a week, we have the loaner there and allow us to continue collecting data. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Stephen, who worked on getting that out for us. That was really, really great. We are not surprised, but we are measuring it. The results are really great. So the pasture site is telling us that even with grazing, the system is acting as a really strong carbon sink. And that is great. So that allows us to start new projects and increasing management intensity in there. And yeah, we've been working with the data team as well, and still have something pending around with Secret that I have to finish, but that is gonna come soon. So yes, it's been a great experience working with you guys. And it's not only for these 2 sites, I have to say there's been great experience working with you and getting all the support that we need at the right time.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to keep moving. Let's see, in the interest of time. Ellen, you want to just give us a snippet from where you are?
Yeah, so yeah, thank you. So this is just a few pics of my sites up in Canada. My colleagues and I are interested in measuring soil plant atmosphere interactions for wetlands and tundra. And so we've registered several of our sites, but not all of them. And it's working on trying to, find the help to get that data technician. So that's one thing I'm going to use AmeriFlux for, is to help advertise for that job. And then some of the other ways I've used the AmeriFlux resource. So yes, absolutely. Uploading to the database for the purposes of data sharing, collaboration, to meet the funder requirements for publicly available data is critical, as well as the peer-reviewed journal requirements. So, we can always post to Zenodo, but putting it on AmeriFlux kills so many, hits so many check boxes all at once. So it's really, really convenient. I also download data from AmeriFlux for model evaluation and development. We were really lucky to have Sigrid and company come visit us at the AmeriBleu site, and so the tech team came and did a site visit to compare our ID covariance system with theirs, and that gives you the confidence that everything's working well. It's really nice to do that. I've attended webinars, annual meetings, sessions at the AGU. It's just really convenient and wonderful to have that organization to direct us to people who are doing similar research or at least using similar techniques. And that's all I really have to say.
Neat. Thanks, Ellen. Do one more and then we can have some questions. Yeah, Tom?
Yeah, hi everybody, Tom O'Halloran. So I'm in coastal South Carolina at Clemson. I actually have another cluster of towers in central Virginia in Loblolly Pine and Switchgrass, but today I'll talk just for a minute about the South Carolina cluster, which we focus on sort of threatened coastal ecosystems experiencing disturbances from sea level rise and hurricanes, and managed ecosystems, so managed wetlands and forest management. So these 4 sites are sort of work as 2 pairs. There's a tidal natural salt marsh and an impounded brackish wetland that is actually has a really interesting and important cultural history. It's a relic rice field dating back to the 17th century that is still has been continuously managed now for waterfowl and not for rice, but we're looking at the effects of management on methane fluxes in those wetlands. I've been a big user and supporter of AmeriFlux for a long time. We've had a site visit, a calibration visit at one of the tall tower in Virginia. When sensors break, the tech team is very kind to send loaner sensors to help us with data continuity. Over the years, I was part of the Year of Water. I've got several sensors as part of the Year of Water effort, as well as the methane year. Had a 7700 loaner for over a year, actually, as part of that, and used that as leverage to twist my dean's arm to give me money to buy a 7700 when we didn't necessarily have a project to fund it, but wanted to keep that data stream flowing. And we also, I wanted to mention, are part of the Climate Smart Commodities grant. So we'll be building several more towers in southern forests, looking at southern forestry and different manipulations in the interest of sequestering carbon. So glad to talk to folks who are putting new climate smart commodity towers out and maybe thinking about organizing that community, sub-community. And yeah, I think that's it.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Ellen, Tom, or Roswell? Right. Stop sharing just for 1 second. Okay. Couldn't see where my video was to change it. All right. Any quick questions for that, or else we will we'll tell you more about what we're doing. All right. So I'm going to just mention community events really quickly. What I encourage you to do is do a screen capture, and then you'll have the information that's on the next few slides. They're a little bit dense, but we do have a lot of community events.
Margaret,
Yes?
You're not sharing.
Oh, well, for goodness sake. Let's try that again. You'd think after 4 years on Zoom. Okay. Now you can do a screen capture if you want, not on this one, but the next one, so to have a little more information. But we do a lot of different events for the community, and we are always happy to take your suggestions or help you facilitate something that you would like to do as well. One thing that you already heard mentioned was the idea of theme years. So we have theme years for network action. We've had the year of methane, year of water fluxes, and now year of remote sensing. And Kung, who introduced himself earlier, is leading that. And so you can get involved in many different ways. There will be some tutorials this coming up in January. So check back and check the website at AmeriFlux.lbl.gov for year of remote sensing. Some very specific events coming up. If you're at AGU, we will have a community meeting. It's a town hall, except it's in a hotel. That's on Wednesday. And next year, we'll be having our annual meeting. We'll be having data tech workshops and a lot of activity for year of remote sensing, like webinars and workshops. And this is a good one for screen capture, I think, because then you can do the QR code later if you're interested in submitting a manuscript to a special issue celebrating our 25th year anniversary. There are a lot of ways to get involved, including just going to highlight one or two. So there's the FluxNet Early Career Network. If you're early career, we really encourage you to check out what they're doing. They have a lot of professional development and scientific exchange and fun activities. And then also there's the working group on natural climate solutions. And since several of you are working on climate smart agriculture, this might be something that you are interested in. So there is a page at AmeriFlux.lbl.gov on it, and here's an email address. So do your screen capture or let me know if you want me to send this page to you. And now I'm going to turn it over to you, Wei. He's going to introduce the data support. Probably won't answer all your questions because we would like to leave time for you to ask them. I mean, then he'll try to answer all your questions once you have a chance. Wei?
Hi, yeah, as I introduce myself, I'm part of the data team. We are now at 7 people. Most of the things you need to know for data fall under the tab on AmeriFlux, which is labeled data. And then through there, you can access things about what the data is, the policies, the products that we put out, various variables, BEDM, which is more of the metadata, and then availability of data across different sites, download data, upload data, etc. Next slide, please. So policy, there was a question earlier about policy. We currently offer 2 kinds of policies. One is the more open CC BY 4. This does not require sites to contact you when they use your data. They download your data and then they go ahead and just use it. The legacy policy is what we used to have, and this requires active notification of the site teams before any data is being used. As of now, we are only processing the FluxNet product for sites based on the CC BY 4 policy. So that's an important caveat. Next slide, please. So this is a site info page. If you have registered a site and you are familiar with this process, you know that once your site is registered, you get a site ID issued to you, and then you have a site page that describes your site based on all that metadata that you send to us. There's a lot you can add here. There's images, publications, and then modifying all of that data. And after the fact that your data is published, your metadata jives with whatever you're doing. So for example, if your site is no longer measuring data, it would be prudent to let people know that your site is temporarily inactive or something for that part, because otherwise we would end up with like questions like sites are still active, but where's the data or things like that. Next slide, please. So if you have uploaded data, you probably have, if you registered data, there's two kinds of data that we support through the upload page. There's the BEDM, which is more the metadata. And then there's what we call half-hourly, which is the FluxMet data. And once you go to that page, you pick a site. If you have registered a site, you pick a site, and then you add your files that are relevant to what your upload is, and then try to describe what that upload means. Doesn't have to be in too much detail, but at least it gives them some idea. If you are working with trying to format all of the FluxMet data, there is a dedicated page. I think I have the link down there. Yeah, there's half-hourly, how to format it, and there's a whole list of variables that we call it FP for Flux Processing Standard, but these variables are part of the protocol that we handle, and so there's a whole list of descriptions about the units and how we expect the data to be formatted. And if you have questions, you can always email us. We're happy to help. Next slide, please.
Yeah, just to say, I'm seeing that there's 3 chats, but I can't see what they are. Did anyone have questions about something that we should stop for? So I'm sorry, I just can't read them.
No, those are comments by Christine putting links to your remote sensing.
All right, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No worries. So this is a separate page that's, you're supposed to do it once you're done with your FluxMet submission, and it's important for OneFlux processing, as Sigrid can tell you, as she's trying to hunt all of this data for different sites. But what this page allows you to do is it allows you to specify the heights of where your sensors are located, so that we can build a map across the variables, the models that we use to measure the sites, when the measurements occurred, using what model, did the model change, and then if there are other things you would like us to know, you can add those in the comment.
Great. Do you want to say what OneFlux is?
Yeah, so terminology. OneFlux is the processing pipeline to generate the FluxNet product, and it's open source code base, but I'm not going to go into more detail about that.
And then the FluxNet product is one that will partition your net ecosystem exchange to respiration and GPP and do some gap filling for you. So, should we go to Sebastian, or did you want to cover this one too? I can't remember.
I can cover it briefly. So to know where your data is going to end up, once we have gone through the QAQC process, once you upload the data, there's a QAQC process by the data team, and then we'll send you a bunch of figures, issues if there are any, and then maybe ask you to fix them, or we will let you know that there are warnings and maybe it's okay to just pay attention to, but not fix them right away. But at the end of the process, your data will be tagged as it's good to be released, and then it will appear on this page, this download page, and then it will be categorized based on the policy along with your metadata, and then users can download it. Next slide. So this is a feature which you may care about as a site team, because it allows you to know who downloaded your sites, what they're used for, and what kind of data products at what time. So you have that whole history if it's downloaded through the AmeriFlux website. Right now, we currently send emails to PIs once someone downloads it. This process may change given the amount of emails that you may get. So that's in the works. I think that's all I have here. Thank you.
Thanks, Yue.
And I'm going to go quick because we really want to get feedback from you guys on what would be of interest. So, of course, that's team members from the tech team. So you can move to the next slides. So as a lot of the PIs that are presented, their slide showed, I mean, we provide a lot of support to sites that are registered with AmeriFlux. We provide tools to calibrate your gas, which has calibration gases and dew point generators. We also provide loaners when you have instrument that breaks or when you have issues with supply chain. So that goes for solar radiation sensors, gas and sonic anemometers. We have a portable profile system that can be used to quantify storage at your site if you have a tall canopy site, like Tom used one for 4 months to see if that was relevant to be deployed at the site, and also leaf area index sensor if you need to quantify leaf area at your site. So usually it's for any crop site. So Nitya, you can use also this at your sites in crop ecosystems. You can request all of those at the email address there. Next slide. Another service that we provide is a rapid response system that is meant to respond to unexpected opportunities that you might have following either disturbances or ecosystem recovery. So that could be wildfire, pest infestation, hurricane recovery, land restoration. We have some that have been deployed. We have about 7 systems total available to the community. Right now, 2 are in use. We got 1 back recently. So you can also visit the link at the bottom to know more about this program. Next slide. And then for the year of water instrumentation that Tom mentioned, that started about 2 years ago. We were able to, that was a grassroots effort that targeted specific variables that people acknowledged needed to be augmented in terms of the number of measurements, but also the quality. So what we did is, we pinged the community, we got feedbacks, we report this to our program managers. They were able to put in place 2 programs, one to buy equipment for saltwater potential, water table depths, and total precipitation for about 41 sites in AmeriFlux in phase 1, and we're going to start a phase 2 very soon. So if you're interested, you'll get a poll from me. And then we also set up something to generate water retention curve at 40 to 50 AmeriFlux sites in collaboration with the University of Indiana. That's a project spearheaded by Rich Phillips and Kim Novick. We are right now testing the pipeline of data sample collection and analysis at their sites, at their lab for 3 sites, but we're going to open this to AmeriFlux site very soon. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, and other program that we have is the site visit in person. So Ellen mentioned the visit that we did at Mer Bleu a few years ago. Because of the growth in the network and COVID, we moved also, and the limitation on travel, we moved also to a remote assessment, focusing on the data processing of your data collected at your site. So if you're interested, contact us. Again, AmeriFlux-tech@lbl.gov. And you can visit the AmeriFlux website. We have a lot of webinars that we've been posted, and we're trying to keep them up to date. So there's a resource page, and there's several tech blogs that are posted by people that have used different services that we have. And we are also putting in place a site visit as part of our new revamped site visit program, Site Visit 2.0, local ambassador, local rep initiative in 2023, when we want to actually try to build and foster more community engagement at the regional scale. Next slide.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing, and then I can see the chat, and also say that there was a really important link on the community page at the bottom for a DEI committee. And it's not just that that's an important and sort of vibrant group and thrust for us, but also that through their work and the tech team, we've created some safety resources. Safety is a really multifaceted thing, but it helps everyone be comfortable at your site. Even so, just physical safety can be a matter of inclusion and equity. And in addition, we recognize psychological safety, and that's really important for field work, right? Safety from any kind of harassment or that kind of behavior. So it's a big deal in the earth sciences. So we actually have some resources for that. And especially if you're a new field researcher, I really encourage you to check them out and to sort of use the group as a sounding board. And Christine has put that link in the chat too. So now just want to open it up for your questions. We know that was a fast tour. Good call.
John,
Good.
we've been using the REdiPro online for gap filling and flux partitioning. How is that different with a one flux algorithm?
Yeah. Yue, do you want to answer that? Or no? You want one of us to do that?
I'm not sure I'm the best person to answer it.
Maybe Sebastian wants to answer.
Yeah, so what we've been doing is building a pipeline that can be from data submission that you have, base all the way to flux gap fill, gap partitioning, uncertainty analysis. That includes a lot of, and that took a long time to put in place. That includes a lot of validation against older code that we have. So I think the online version that you use is probably not that very different from what we use, but it's probably not as complete as what you would get using the version that we provide through OneFlux. As you noticed, to get through OneFlux, there's a lot of steps that needs to be fulfilled. Right? Not only data needs to be published in base, but after that, we need a lot of information that you get from SIGGRID, that SIGGRID asks you rather about your type of sensor, the sensor height, and the aggregation that you do at your site. So you could start playing with the online version that you have, but I would really recommend you to submit data to AmeriFlux and work with us on getting your site processed on a regular basis.
Sebastian, you have a question.
Yeah, just this. Can you speak?
Leaf area index.
So I think you can give a really quick answer. What's a leaf area index sensor?
Yeah, it's LI 2000 that we have from LICOR. So it's available.
Define what the LAI is too, just really quick.
Oh, basically it gives you the an idea of the canopy structure that you have in your ecosystem. So it's a leaf area per. So leaf area you have per square meter of surface that you have. So it gives you an idea of the cover and the structure of your ecosystem. I think the question was on the instrumentation rather than on the variable, but.
Thank you, sorry. Did that answer your question? You can just nod.
And Tyson also had the same question.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I thought this could be something new that will give like continuous measurement of something. I'm familiar with the LAI 2200, but that is, you have to make those measurements manually.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of manual labor, but usually it's expensive. And we bought this as a resource for the network, and we can circulate across the network. So it's been used at a few sites already.
So I have a quick question. Is there a big advantage using the LAI 2000 compared to using a PhenoCam that measure NDVI?
But it's not the same measurements, I guess, also, right? And that's Luna, I didn't see who.
I know.
Yeah, so those are different. I mean, you can use an NDVI sensor, which is continuous measurements, I guess, that you would have at your site, and you could reconstruct phenology with the PhenoCam, which is great, but it doesn't really, you can't derive LAI from NDVI, but it's based on theoretical phenological curve. So it's a little bit different, right? I mean, the LAI instrument would be, you can measure LAI very precisely at your site. So that could, to me, I would use both to get some sort of a calibration of your derived LAI value from NDVI measurements.
Yeah, at the least have some overlap. Sigrid?
Just add quick, NDVI is a greenness index. It doesn't give you the leaf area index. The leaf area, the unit for is like square meter by square meter. So it's a different type of measurement altogether, and it's a totally different, variable.
But you can derive one from the other. We did this, a paper with Bill Riley in 2010 using satellite data actually, and using LAI. So I don't know what the question is, but to scale, it's very helpful. Andrew.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Andrew,
Sure, I should know a lot of the answers to these questions, but I'll ask anyway since we're here. When submitting data, some of our, say like a rain gauge, we know our rain gauge is probably less than ideal in a snowy ecosystem without a heater, and it's basically junk data, right? And that's it. But there's a NOAA climate reference network site within 100 meters, right, of our site, and that has very good data. So when we're submitting data, what's the policy on using precipitation data, for instance, from a NOAA CRN network, and including that in your data submission, or is that you just would I leave my column blank and say, hey, hopefully everybody downloading this was smart enough to go to that NOAA CRN station?
Yeah, I have one answer, but Sebastian probably has one too. Go ahead.
Yeah, to respond to this. So first of all, good news. You just got, you probably don't know, but you just got a total precipitation that measures also pluvio from OTT that Dave had requested as part of Year of Water, and you got 2 shipped to your sites. So you probably don't know yet, but you're getting this and to be installed in the spring. So your problem would be solved. For past data, I mean, the site team decides really what they submit, right? I mean, we see a lot of differences. It's a little bit dangerous for precipitation because it's such an heterogeneous field. I mean, 100 meters seems to be okay, you would think, right? To capture what you have at your site, but it's always a little bit iffy, depending on where it's at. Also, and Sigrid has comments.
I know your slide very well, and yes, the data has been submitted to AmeriFlux. And in the variable information table, the comment has been added that the data is coming from that network, and also the distance included the ID for it. And I assume as long as you have the permission to submit that data as part of your data set, then yeah, it's like Sebastian said, it's to the discretion of the PI.
And I will add that is, I think, the variable most common that people are getting from not their site, because it is hard to maintain a really good precipitation sampler. The other thing is, and UA can comment on this, I believe you can have 2 instruments in a data submission, and you have to define them both. So for many things, you can have like multiple heights. For many things, you can have multiple locations, like soil temperature sensors have multiple locations. But UA, can you confirm that you can have 2 locations for precip samplers as well?
Yeah, I think that's true. In some cases, if it's a PI preferred measurement or I don't know, measurement or variables, you can indicate that through the PI flag as well. So you can submit the raw ones and then the PI preferred one.
Yeah, I mean, you can have both, but tell everyone, please use the one that's from 100, 300 meters away. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And so the site I was asking about is not Howland, which I did see that precipitation gauge. I was up there this week with Dave, actually, as a kind of before I'm starting the job. But yeah, no, I guess I have other people submitted, asked for permission from the NOAA CRN station network or something. Is that a common thing, or is that I mean, the easy option is just to put a little note at the site and take it off my plate and say, hey, there's a CRN station 100 meters away if you want to use it. But
it is better, I think, to include it, and you'll need to well, you don't need to, but it is actually better for the whole FluxNet processing.
We've run into this because we're located with a near station, National Estuarine Research Reserve, and we just make sure that we're being compliant with their data use policy. And then put that in the metadata when we submit it, that it's that column or that variable actually came from this other network, but we had permission to use it.
Thank you. Yeah, we have time for a couple more questions or requests. What can we do to help refresh or jumpstart what you're doing? Hey, Dina, is that you? Or is this Catherine? No, there's Catherine. I mean, Luna.
Margaret, could I ask a more self-serving question? Some of the folks who mentioned that they're working in the climate smart commodities effort, are any of you doing any work in rice, measurements in rice?
Was it Catherine who was talking about wetland restoration? I have my notes. No, it was
Nithya.
No, it was Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of the.
You are, right?
Yes, we do wetland restoration, but we are not part of the climate smart commodity.
Okay,
we're happy to share data if needed.
Sure.
Well, so let me add to this, Lee, if you don't mind. So Lee, one of Lee's sites in Staten Island is part of the Smart Farm Phase 1 program, which is a rice field, and data is posted on AmeriFlux.
And then if you go to AmeriFlux.lbl.gov and type in rice, you'll get a list of sites that have said they're measuring rice, and there are a few in there as well. They just might be older, so they're not here now. Okay, Ellen asked a question that I think UA can answer. How does it work to copy data over to FluxNet from AmeriFlux? And actually, Ellen, can you say what you mean by that?
You guys take care of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
And then how?
Okay, so let's say you submit a half-hourly Flux data. We perform QA/QC and then publish it as what we call base. Then the base plus the extra variables that are needed to partition the data and to gap fill it are put in through this other tool, variable aggregation. Then we do the next stage of processing to this FluxNet product. And then that appears on the AmeriFlux website as the FluxNet product. There isn't another FluxNet data repository for base. So if there's an international FluxNet effort, they'll actually go to each regional network and get the data. So they would just come to AmeriFlux and get the base, and it would be used in that international FluxNet effort. So you don't have to like copy that over.
And that's why we're also, I mean, it's encouraged to go through your regional networks rather than trying to go something directly on FluxNet, which I don't think works anymore, but it used to be in the past.
So I have a quick question about the whole QA/QC post-processing. I'm just wondering, is it possible to, before submit the data, try out the AmeriFlux, the AmeriFlux QA/QC and post-process and compare to the one that we do in-house and see if there's any differences between the two?
UA?
So we are starting efforts on the self-review process where we will provide the analysis and give it to the teams and allow them to do more thorough investigation. But I think what you're trying to get it as before even submission, if you're able to access those graphs and whatnot. There's no clear answer. I mean, we are striving towards that goal where you can upload things. Oh, sorry, submit to a system, get diagnostics, and then determine whether it's matching with what you have. The code base will be open source relatively soon. So that could be one route where you run the code base on your own. But there's no, to get the full set of QA/QC checks right now, you would have to submit to us.
I think, Lee, did you mean the one flux processing or the data submission originally?
The one flux processing. Because I want to try out the one flux processing before I have the data uploaded.
So
those are, you should go. Sorry.
No, it's all right. The code base is already public, I think.
Okay, I will look for it on the AmeriFlux website.
I can give you the link.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
I know we are out of time. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, and Tom, I will get back to you if we don't. Yeah, go ahead, Nitya.
So what happens after someone downloads the data from AmeriFlux? How do we make sure the site PIs get credit when they, publish it or whatever, This is what is sometimes confusing to a lot of people who are not familiar with the entire, how AmeriFlux works.
Yes. Do you want me to show that slide, UA? I can read. That's helpful. So when the data are downloaded, people have to enter some information, and they have to agree to follow the data policy. And so UA can walk you through that.
So the data policy, the CC BY 4 is the more open policy. People download the data, they can do whatever they want with it. They don't necessarily have to notify you. But the legacy policy is one which they have to like tell you what they're doing with the data before they even use it or publish it. So that's the main difference.
They also have to cite the data. They cannot just download the data and use it. They also have to cite the data. And all data sets have DOIs that you can find on the AmeriFlux webpage or site page.
Well, and maybe if I could add one thing. So when someone downloads your data, you receive an email.
Yes. Yeah.
That part, you know? Okay. I wasn't sure if you were already in there. And then no matter which data policy, they have to use your data DOI. They have to cite that. But they only have to involve you in analyzing the data or publishing it if you're under the legacy policy. Is that?
Mm-hmm.
So between the three of us, did we answer your question? Maybe.
No, most PIs, what do they do? Like they wait for 2 years and they analyze their data, they publish whatever they want to publish from that data, and then they post the data to AmeriFlux, or how everyone does this?
I think I'll give a short answer and UA can answer, but this is a fairly new, having CC BY 4 is new for AmeriFlux. It's only 2 years old. So most people already had their data published and then they switched it over. But we are seeing that new PIs, new sites are selecting CC BY 4 because it will get used in a lot more research if you do. A lot of people say, well, I'm just going to download CC BY 4. So your data get out there and get used. But there are people who do hold the data. And very special circumstances, we will embargo or with request. So you can run your data and not have it put out, but that's very rare that people ask for that, actually. Yeah.
Did you have a specific concern about the citation and the policy?
This is something that sometimes we discuss is like, because we have students and postdocs working with our data. So what happens if we just post it before we publish the work?
Yeah. And I will say that that is a concern that people have. Usually, your site and your science question already. So if someone else published it, they've incorporated into a very large synthesis that really doesn't take away from what you would do at the site level. But even that takes time, right? So, but I do understand you have a new student and maybe you have the first year of their 3 years of data.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do see people holding that for students. I'll say we definitely do see that. The other thing is some people who have new N2O flux sensors going are submitting data without the N2O data stream at first.
Okay.
They'll want to look at it. They maybe want to have first crack at it, but they can put the rest of the data set through and make that available. And then you can add the N2O by resubmitting your data set with the N2O added.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe other people here would like to add in on how you're handling this question. Is it?
Yeah, I just maybe want to add one more detail that, so we create a DOI for each data set that, because it's CC BY, the BY means that we require data users to cite that, but we are also working in a larger, in kind of a larger community effort with other people in the field to actually work with journals to figure out that citation part and to improve that, because currently not all journals really provide kind of the infrastructure to cite a data set the same way that you would cite a paper and to make it really trackable. And that's something that we're involved in with other people in the earth science community to figure that part out, so you can really get countable citations on your data sets like you do for your papers.
Of getting that H index.
Yeah, that's, you know, there are other players involved, mostly the journals. And so that's kind of a longer process, but that's definitely something we're thinking about.
Yeah, Adina, what are you thinking to do about that?
I'm thinking that if people need to use or can use the data that's shared on AmeriFlux, all the best. We want this data to be used as much as possible in comparison studies. I don't think for the most part it takes from student thesis, because that's going to be a more in-depth site-specific works, and that's not available to share. All, you know, the subsurface data and the microbiology and the, you know, all the details that are process-based. So everything else will be, you know, stats and flux without the process. So I think it's a good thing. I really am not worried about compromising student thesis.
Thanks. Thank you. So I don't know why, but we have heard that more from the smart farm side of things. Which is interesting. That and some student thesis. See, Tom, you had a question about ESS Dive, and I, you can put the flux data into AmeriFlux, and I don't think you have to then put that into ESS Dive. You can just put it into AmeriFlux. But there will be some data packages you have that don't fit neatly into AmeriFlux, then they have to go into ESS Dive. What I would recommend is putting in metadata, like a tag, it as a submission to ESS Dive, so that people find your AmeriFlux data when they go to look for all that data associated with your study.
That sounds good.
That way, if there's any updates via AmeriFlux, they'll happen, and you don't have to maintain synchronicity of two data sets. But you do want people to go to ESS Dive, find everything, because your program manager will want to see that. People can find everything via ESS Dive, even if it's not in. Yeah. Anything else? I know we're a little over, but glad that you, yeah, Sigrid?
Just adding another comment to Lee, sorry if I mispronounce your name. Even if you run OneFlux yourself, the data still has to fit the right format. That's why we recommend new sites to submit 1 month or 2 months of data to go through this QA/QC process to make sure that the timestamps are the correct way, are added the correct way, and the headers are also the way they should be. And then once you go through that test data set, you can run OneFlux, but you can't just plug in some random CSV file with timestamps that don't excuse me, they don't comply with the AmeriFlux database.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming, and AMP team for answering questions and providing all the good support. If you have any other questions, please contact us.
Thanks for organizing, Margaret, and everybody else, and have a great weekend.
Second that. Thanks, Margaret. Thanks, everyone.